Hello and welcome to the KBL Walk and Talk. So today I'm in Boston in England, and to be more specific, Lincolnshire. So a lot of history here. And that's the stomp. Obviously it's supposed to be a lot taller than that, but that's what it ended up. So basically I'll give you a brief history lesson of Boston. Boston's very famous obviously because a big US city is named after this town. And basically what happened in 1620, there was a ship called the Mayflower, and basically they left here through the Wash and went into the North Sea and sailed away to America. They are the founding fathers, so they set up basically Plymouth in Massachusetts, and the first school they set up was based on Boston Grammar School, and that later become Harvard. And then that city was named after the town, so they named Boston, Massachusetts after Boston in Lincolnshire. So that's where it gets its name from. You probably knew that, but all the bits in between maybe, I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to touch on the subject of today is diversity is our strength. So just explain the past history, and just to add on to that, about 10% of the population left because there was a Reverend Cotton. Basically in the space of 4 years, I think about 10% of the population left. So he wanted he was a Puritan, and he wanted to purify the church, but the church was against him. These people got arrested in numerous amount of times trying to escape so they could have religious freedom. So they set up their new settlement in America, and that part of history is history, as they say, or his story. But I'm not debating it's true or not. I think it probably is true. It's not like other history where they purposely lie about it. Anyway, let's shut that up. So yeah, present day Boston is very European. So about 23% in the last census were born abroad. The biggest groups are Lithuanian, and it's the capital of Lithuanians in the UK. Polish is the second biggest group, not far behind, and it's the second biggest settlement of Polish people in the UK after Slough. So 11% is either Lithuanian or Polish, and I think there's like a lot of Romanians as well. If there's a vote to leave the EU again, I think it wouldn't be such a big margin, because when at the vote for leaving the EU, 76% of the town voted to leave, but I think it'd be a lot less now, because it's like obviously people living here have children, so they might vote to rejoin. But I reckon with the UK will probably be back in the EU by 2030. I just see it. Starmer is doing his best to sign up the UK to all these deals, and basically bit by bit, gradually, the UK are an inch closer to the EU, to the globalist superstate. Anyway, yeah, I don't want to talk so much about the European Union. I don't have any issue. I did vote to leave, but I'm not against European people. I like the Poles. Lithuanians are nice people. Romanians are nice. But the only concern I had at the time was the EU just basically allowing vast amounts of people to come here illegally, and they was doing nothing about it. So that's one of the reasons I voted out. Plus there's some towns where it's just, because you have to understand, it's like having people and extra guests, but when the identity of where you're living completely changes, it's not on, and it's not acceptable. And yeah, fair enough, times change, but it's not nice living somewhere where you're becoming a minority, and then the fabric of that area is completely changing. But saying that, I do get on with quite a lot of Poles and Hungarians, and Portuguese, Italians, Spanish, all lovely people, and nothing against them. You want a better life, so But what concerns me more is not these people, is the newcomers, the ones who are coming on the boats, and it's all military aged men. It's hardly any women. That's what worries me. Because see with the Poles or Lithuanians or any European citizen, they will marry the English people, they will marry outside of their country or religion, so we're better integrated. So, but the newcomers, they won't integrate, they carry on hanging around with their own people, eating their own food, shopping in their own businesses and shops. It's like, are they going to go to local butchers? Probably not. They're probably going to go to a halal butcher. And I'm not attacking anybody of the Muslim faith, but I'm just saying immigration is okay if in small numbers, but the numbers we're getting are way too high, and it's just going to basically ruin the country like it already is. It's like rubbish piling up everywhere in Birmingham, crime's getting out of hand. Like, look at Sweden. Sweden's had like so much trouble, and they had 320 shootings, that was back in 2022, 60 fatalities, and that's 30 times more dangerous than London, like more than London. So it's crazy. And then a lot of countries in Europe are unsafe for women now because they're all single men, and they think like because they see the woman on a porn video, they think all Western women want the same thing, but they don't. But they just think they can just come here, touch the women and blame, hassle them, and the authorities are doing hardly anything about it. It just winds me up. There's always women reporting in France and Germany they feel unsafe, and that's one thing I'd say about the Poles. They do look after their country. They've built a massive wall to stop people coming in from Belarus or Belarusia, and yeah, they're keeping Poland Polish. But then in these countries like Hungary, there's more incentives for families, not like the West where they're destroying the West. So these countries are actually trying to help people and trying to keep their identity, their culture. Well, we're having cultures imposed on us against our will. It's like, how long will Ireland be Irish, and how long will Britain be British, and how long will France be French, and Germany be German. Yeah, and as I'm filming this, it's a police station right by, so don't not speak too loud next to them. And there's noise coming from the pub, so I'm going to move on. Can't believe I was like in the town centre. You got 2 cash converters, so you can sell your stolen goods and get some cash from them. So diversity is our strength. So who coined this phrase? I know for sure is the elites, the cabal, who basically indoctrinate people so much that saying it sticks in their head, and it's so correct, and you must follow it, you must follow the mob. And anybody who dares challenges it, anybody who dares ask questions, will be attacked with the fascist axe, the fascist verbal axe. So from Roman times, there's an axe called the fascist, and you see Mussolini used it on the Italian flag. But then also they use it like with the labelling. So the verbal fascist axe is like, you don't support BLM, or you're a racist. You don't support the European Union, you're a racist, you're far right. But at the end of the day, it's just there to shut you up so you don't question anything. But people are getting wise to this, and all it's done, the only reason it's done for is basically is to bring people in. So I'm not talking about Europeans and such, I'm talking about people from Arab countries, Africa, and basically people who do not assimilate and European culture and people. So they come in, and basically the plan is to abolish the borders. So how do they do it? They bring people in to replace the people living there, and because they have no attachment to these countries, they will not fight for these countries. So it's easier to overthrow them. So not necessarily going to sack the country and it's all going to turn to shit. Basically, the more people come in, the less likely they are to keep the nations independent, and they just vote for, like, say example, say in Ireland, say if they unified in Ireland and then there's a minority of Irish people and then they had a referendum come up to say join the UK. See, the Irish would never go for that. The Irish want to be independent, but people with non-Irish ancestry don't care about that. They just probably vote to join the UK. And it's the same with in America. Are they going to want to just be America? If they're not born in America, they have no attachment, then they might vote for Canada to join them and just become a big supranational state. See, and this is what would happen, and the rulers would love this because they can build an ultimate slave class, because they bring in people from poor countries who will work for less money, and they will not question authority, and they will do what they're told and be compliant. So I'd say diversity is their strength, because they use it to basically change countries and to basically lower the standards, lower pay, lower conditions, so they can achieve their goal, and that's the techniques they use. So they use words, labelling, to basically shut you up and to stop you basically trying to raise awareness or question what they're doing. So I'm not saying in diversity there is they do complement each other in some areas, like the Europeans are very close together, but people from other cultures do not share the same values, so it doesn't work. Because even though, like, here in Boston there's a lot of Polish and Lithuanians, they wouldn't discriminate marrying English, or English wouldn't discriminate marrying them, or having children together. There might be some people who dislike each other, and but to me, I don't. If I like someone, I like them. It's as simple as that. I don't care where they come from or what religion they are. But yeah, this is basically what they do, and how to bring down America. And it's not just the fentanyl, or the wokeness, or the basically removing God and atheism, and then in general society breaking down. They also have to break down the quality of people in these countries as well. So how do you turn a country into a third world country where you have to import the third world? You know, Sweden was a successful country, and now look at it, it's got major gun crime in Stockholm and Malmo, and these beautiful Swedish women are scared to go out. They're being harassed by all these military-aged men who basically arrived, I think, en masse in 2008, and it's just changed the fabric of that country. And because of the rate of the children they're having, the birth rate is really high, it's just gonna basically get worse and worse. So Sweden's gone from a really good country to a crime-ridden country in the cities now. So yeah, and that's the thing, in this European Union, it actually makes all the European countries less European, because they import people from the third world, and every other country, the borders are open. Look at Germany, look at France, look at Italy, and you look at Portugal. Lisbon now, yeah, how many businesses are owned by Indians, and the Portuguese are leaving Lisbon because it's too expensive. And then you look at Barcelona, and you look at Naples in Italy, and it's like the locals are being outnumbered by new arrivals. Loads of crime. Yeah, basically, diversity is the Trojan horse to overthrow Western nations. It's like I said, they use the fascist acts against you if you question it or you challenge it. Because that's what politicians do, they sell out to the highest bidder. But their days are over. I mean, people getting wise to this and people have had enough. And it's bloody manipulation and indoctrination. It's starting to wear a thin on a lot of people. They always come out and say, like I said before, like they label everyone. You challenge anything. That's the only way they can basically try and shut you up. Because they're losing the argument. They're losing the argument in Ireland. They're losing the argument in the UK. They're losing the argument in Germany. They're losing the argument in Italy. You know, people have had enough. And they just want to overthrow the West. They want basically to turn the West into a third world. And they're still thinking about war. The European Union basically wants to set aside 850 million to set up a war. And the UK is going to join the European Army Alliance. So it's going to be 5 nations in total. So they hope to achieve this, from the looks of it, by 2030. So to see what happens with that. But anybody want to go war with Russia would be a complete idiot, you know. I don't believe Ukraine's winning, and no way are they winning. Nobody's defeated the Russians. The Germans have tried. Vikings tried. You know. They have ice baths, for Christ's sake. They swim in the bloody icy water. They wrestle with bears, you know. And you think some woke soldier who's painting his nails is going to take down the Russians? I don't think so. You know, they're overweight, they're obese, they're woke. What sort of army is that? What sort of army is that gonna? You know, how's that gonna be a force to be reckoned with? But there you go. So, yeah, also, Starmer is basically signing over fishing rights. So, EU fishing haulers will be able to fish in UK waters for 12 years, and their allocation's been up from 25% to 75%. So, you've already got fishing. Yeah, I was going to say, the fishing industry is already struggling, and places like Grimsby are very desolate already, struggling, and they're going to be struggling even more because basically Grimsby's gone from a really successful shipping port to just handling the fish from other countries. So what's going to happen? They're going to come to UK waters, take the fish, and then sell it back to UK waters, UK customers. And then they're also talking about a UK mobility scheme for youth workers. So that just basically make the job situation worse because a lot of young people can't get jobs. We'll be up against people from the continent. So that's not good, is it? And then Starmer, I knew he was going to do that. I knew he was going to bring the UK closer to the EU. It is the globalist plan, isn't it? Basically set up all these unions. So you've got African Union, the North American unions, the one in South America, ASEAN for Southeast Asia, because it's all stepping stones for the one world government. So they're bringing in all these countries into these unions and these supranational political unions, so they can form the one world government. That's what it's always been about. They've been trying to do it for years. That's why they want a single currency. That's why they want a single country and a single court and laws and policies, so they can basically formulate their wet dream of having a one world government. But we can put blocks on this. We can make it more difficult. Basically, there's loads of things you can do. Stop voting for a leader. By supporting that system, you're basically making things worse for yourself. And they just ignore you anyway. They just get into power and they just do whatever they want with your money. They promise the world, but they never deliver. You know, they said, "Oh, we're in poverty. We'll make education better. We'll stop the corruption. We'll build new trains," and so on and so on. And it's just bullshit. They hardly achieve anything. They just lie, and then when they get in power, they don't do it. So what is the point of voting? Also, cancel your TV license. You don't have to have one. Stop watching the propaganda. You know, it's just crap. They lie about so much, and it's always the narrative they actually portray what the government want. Another thing what gets me, I'm not disrespecting people who died, but they love to use these obelisks which have no connection to this country. These originate from Egypt. There's quite a sinister motive behind them. But I want to go further into detail on that at a later point. Basically, the obelisks are supposed to represent the manhood of Osiris, the god of the underworld. And when you see like the obelisks in Washington DC, the Washington Monument, basically that's representing Osiris, and then the Capitol building, the dome on top of the Capitol building, represents Isis's womb, because Isis is the wife of Osiris. And you see this come up again and again. There's always Egyptian, pagan monuments, organisations. It's not even ISIS, which is basically, when you see all these attacks in Syria, ISIS is basically the Israeli secret intelligence service. It's not Islamic, but that's another subject. But yeah, I want to cover that at some point with the obelisks. But they're everywhere. It's like in Blackpool, there's a massive obelisk for the War Memorial. There's a massive one in Birmingham. There's a big one in Dublin. They're in London. They're in every single city in England, every city probably around the world. And this all represents Osiris from Egypt, because that's basically the empires. They just transfer. So the Babylonia transferred to Greece, and then Greece transferred to Rome, and then Rome transferred to Germany, England, America, and it's soon to go to China, if it's the same people, which it will be the same people behind it, because most empires last 250 years, and the US empire has one more year left. So expect a major crash in the US stock market this year or next year, and then China will take over as the #1 richest nation, probably use the metric of the GDP, which is not like a true reflective metric to show countries at the top, because it's just basically how the money's spent in that country. Yeah, another thing I want to touch on is Richard Kalergi and his plan written in 1924. Oh, I've done it. It's the conspiracy theorist, far right, what other shit do they throw at this name every time you mention it. Oh yeah, anti-Semitic. And like, that's the thing, he's half Austrian, half Japanese. They say he's anti-Semitic, yeah? He's half Austrian, so that means he's half European, yeah? He's half Japanese, so that means he's half Asian, so he's European Asian. So how can he be Semitic? So Semitic people are from the Middle East, yeah? So they're speakers of Arab and Hebrew. So if he doesn't have any Hebrew DNA, how can that be anti-Semitic? And it's the same with a lot of Israel. It's like they're Ashkenazi. Ashkenazi are not Hebrew, so they're not Semitic. So they can't keep using this term anti-Semitic when they're not Semitic people. And if you go to look at what they're doing in Gaza, that is anti-Semitic. So it's to stop with these stupid labels, labeling people as misinformation and it's misdirection. It's basically they're just trying to shut you up by using the verbal fascist acts. But anyway, his plan was basically to overthrow Western nations. So the way they do this is by immigration, both legal and illegal. So his wet dream basically was to have a nation of people to be brown skinned. It's basically what some people say, not my words because I don't know the ins and outs of it in that sense with the genocidal side of things, but basically immigration is the main part of it. I'm not saying they would use genocide to fulfill that ambition, but immigration is definitely the fundamental tool of achieving that plan. So yeah, every time you mention it, you get the old term coined by the CIA, conspiracy theorist, and then you get the labeling, which is basically you're getting too close and you're exposing what they're doing, so they label you. Because this is the things they do, and people who respond to it and say, oh, that's racist, or that's anti-Semitic. They just say brainwash. Stop watching the BBC, stop listening to propaganda, start actually start looking into things, stop being naive, stop having your opinions formed for you and placed in your brain, start thinking for yourself. I don't know if I mentioned I'm in Central Park in the centre of Boston. It's not a bad park, but nothing special really. There's a nice backdrop of the tower, which I left it too late. I didn't realise it shut early. I was going to go to the top and have a look around, but I'll do that another time. But yeah, I just thought I'd come to Boston today. I was in Lincoln last week, so it's my first time here like properly. I come one night, we went out in a restaurant, but first time I walked around town, and it's got a bad reputation, but I wouldn't say it's one of the worst places. I feel safer here than going to Nottingham or Bristol, you know, or Birmingham especially. I wouldn't want to be around there at night, but it looks like to me, it looks rougher than some other Lincolnshire towns. I probably not as bad as Grimsby. I imagine Grimsby's much worse. I'm not slagging off Grimsby, by the way. There's some nice people there, and it has its issues. Yeah, so when they use that term, diversity is our strength, really they're saying diversity is their strength. They're using it against everyone. And I'm not saying all these people come in are bad, they're not. Some are good people, but it's just can't afford to have so much competition for jobs and housing, and there's not enough money, and then there's not enough time to integrate because there's fast numbers coming, so it just screws everything up. How can people integrate when there's like thousands of people coming every day? There's no chance for that to happen, because all that's going to happen, they're going to form their own communities. But if it's done slowly, there'd be more blending, there'd be like more integration. But then when you have large groups, that's never going to happen. So everything's going to be out of sync and it's not going to work. And at the end of the day, they're playing both sides. So they're playing the normal people and also playing the new people as well, because basically they don't realise they're being set up to be the new slave class. That's why they want them here. That's why they're letting them stay, because they want to give them all the shitty jobs for low pay, so the companies and the people at the top will continue to stay at the top, and things would be even worse, conditions would be worse. So everybody's getting screwed. So in a sense, I don't know how you do it, I don't know how you formulate it, but people need to come together, and that's not going to be easy. I mean, the people who settled here already, they need to come together especially, and then really save what we've got and build from that, because otherwise if you don't, it's just going to continue and things are going to get worse. So the only way forward is people to stop arguing, stop being divided. And that's the thing, it's the old technique, divide and conquer. So they divide men and women. So that's what a big part of feminism is. It's not about empowering a woman, it's about alienating the man from the woman. But both sexes complement each other, they work in sync, in unity. But it's just why they try and destroy the foundations of the family. They try and break down everything. Oh, I didn't know there's birds here, cockatiels. Yeah. A bit like my whistling. But yeah, they try and break everything down. That's why they have all these woke movements and NGOs trying to destabilize everything. Because you're never going to know what's going on if you're too busy watching football and you don't know what sex you are, what gender you are, and you don't know what to believe, and it's just messed up. Because if you don't have no foundations, then you don't have nothing to fight for. If you don't have nothing to fight for, then you're really at their mercy. Because you've got to believe in something. If you don't believe in anything, then basically you're lost already. So you're just basically handing power to them. See, sometimes I want to do these videos, I want them to be really interesting and flowing, but I just have so much trouble sleeping, so they don't always come out perfectly. But I'm working on that. In future I want to bring in much better videos. I'll touch on more subjects and get to the bottom of stuff. Because back in 2020 I really woke up to what's going on, and I'm sick of it. I was sick of these corrupt politicians and all these people taking the piss. They're basically destroying our well-being and livelihoods, because they just screw up everything. They screw everything up. All these wars, we don't need any wars, you know. They keep starting the trouble.
Yeah.
It's like Germany. There's never a problem with Germany. There's only when Churchill, he went out of his way to get involved in the war, and then got involved again. And the fact that Bomber Command bombed Berlin 8 times before they bombed here, and then all the lies about communism basically coming from Russia. It wasn't from Russia, it's Jewish. It was the Bolsheviks, funded through Wall Street in New York. They took out the Tsars because basically they wanted to overthrow Russia. I'm not saying, I know the Russians were involved in all the genocide and all the stuff they've done in the USSR. That's down to the soldier, because at the end of the day you can't say I was just taking orders. What you did, and you've done it because you wanted to do it. But I see the First World War was to overthrow Russia, the Second World War to set up Israel, the Third World War is basically destroy the Middle East, and Israel is going to fall. That's why they're setting up Ukraine. Ukraine is going to be the new Israel. That's where the Khazarians, the Ashkenazi come from. So that's why it's been cleared out. This is why they keep sending Ukrainian men to the front line. They're clearing that country out to get ready to be the new Israel. But anyway, thanks for watching. They'll bring you a video soon. So much stuff to cover. There's so much crap happening all the time. But yeah, just keep at it. Keep doing what you're doing. The tide is changing. We can make things happen. We can change things. We've done it already. These lockdowns stopped in 2022 because they knew they couldn't do it any longer. I was never going to give in to them. They say, oh, you can't go on holiday. I say, I don't care. Do your best. You know, in the end, they stopped it. They opened all the countries up again. You know, you threaten me, I'm not going to bow down to you. And all these things, all this wokeness, it's not going to work on me. I don't care how many people you brainwash. You know, it doesn't make sense. And I'm not following these agendas because you want me to follow these agendas. Neither should you. And together, we can make this world a better place for all of us. But first we have to save what we got. And save yourselves first. Because that's the thing, you can change yourself. You can't change everyone and you can't change everything. But if you concentrate on yourself and those around you, then hopefully you will continue to survive and make things what matter survive and help others see the light. Anyway, thank you for watching. Goodbye from KBL Walk and Talk. Hope you enjoyed Boston. There you go, the sun's out. Lovely. Alright, take care. Bye.